Sweet. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new video. Actually, scrap that. We're not doing that. Um. Yeah, I'm just gonna edit most of
Welcome to
that.
Destiny.
I don't know why that intro was so terrible. Oh my god. I'm just gonna start now because otherwise this is gonna be even more awkward than it should be. So, anyways, welcome to. Why am I saying welcome? We've already
Hello,
editor.
everybody. Welcome to the midweek.
Yeah, I know he has to just drag this on for my bumbling ass. But regardless, editor, edit that out. So, anyways. Yes. Welcome to the midweek. This video is actually kind of interesting because we wanted to do this for a little bit now, but big news came in, so we just kind of been pushing this back, and it feels a little too early to do the Hogwarts Legacy reveal, considering this frankly just came out on Thursday, so a little too early, even when you count in the early access part, which when you factor that in, some people have already completed it, but that's beside the point. So we're going to do something that we've both been wanting to talk about for a little bit now, and that is Lightfall and the incoming content that comes with Destiny, as well as a bunch of stuff related to that. So, where to begin?
Yes.
I know where we can begin. The stuff that's leaving with Lightfall. Let me just get my list out. Probably should have had this before the stream, but I didn't. It's
Oopsies.
Lightfall weapons. You just go. I'll catch up with you. Oh, by the way, all of this will be linked in the description below. So if you're wondering, the stuff we're going on about, all of this is linked in the description below. Interesting that you picked Archimedes, by the way.
Yes.
But anyway, so for those who aren't aware, if you aren't a Destiny person, I'll just quickly summarize. Coming on the 28th is the next big expansion for Destiny 2, which is Lightfall, obviously, thus the name. And with it, there's going to come a bunch of new stuff, new seasonal content, new weapons, yada yada yada, as well as Darkness subclass, which will be fun to play with. But we can get into more of that later. But there's also going to be a lot of content that leaves with Lightfall, because again, the new seasonal model is kind of where they'll put stuff in and put stuff out. Like, they'll just kind of build up content over the course of a year, and then come the next big expansion, they'll remove all of that old seasonal content and then just kind of put in new ones. This is, again, for spatial reasons, because before this happened, back in, what was it, before Season of Arrivals, before they started taking out content, the game got so, ridiculously big that it was just clocking hard drives.
Yes.
It was not practical to not keep the game small, so, yeah, here we are. But yeah, that explanation over. The things leaving with Lightfall, let's go down the list one by one. So, two exotics that came with this bunch of seasonal content is the Dead Messenger, which is in another exotic quest that came in the beginning of the season, I think Season of the Chosen. So that exotic catalyst and weapon, as far as we know so far, are going to get pulled out because the weapon and the catalyst are both acquired through doing its quest. So that quest will be gone. So if you don't have the Dead Messenger, get it now if you want it. And same goes with its catalyst. On the topic of catalysts, oh shoot, we're all getting network errors on my side. I feared this would happen. This always, for some reason, tends to happen when we try to do this. I think the game systems don't cooperate well with each other, but I'll just keep talking regardless. So, next on the list, we have Revision Zero. Again, same thing, part of a quest. Actually, kind of involved in the thing that Justin is doing right now. That'll be gone, as well as its catalyst. Again, will we be able to get it kind of what they did with some other weapons, where they'll just kind of throw it into Xur's pool? Oh, no, I'm back, actually. All the way back here, though. Huh, that's weird. But, whatever. Dodge the lasers again, I shall. But anyways. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if they throw that in with Xur and his pool of weapons, and we just kind of every week get another version of it. I would say Dead Messenger you could kind of do, or actually no, Dead Messenger is a straight fine, so they probably will just add that to the Monument of Lost Lights. Versus Dead Messenger. Dead Messenger is interesting because it's the first weapon to be taken out that's craftable. So I'm not sure what they're going to do with that one. Because you do need to kind of unlock it, so I'm not sure what they're going to do so far. Nothing's been revealed on how they're going to handle it, so I don't know.
It might be
Just to
unlocked.
get it.
It might be made unlocked.
It might be, but generally they don't do that with the craftables, so hard to say. So, yeah, safe to say if you want it, get it now. It's just the safest bet. Even if you don't have all the catalysts done, just safer that way. Excuse me for a second while I stop talking as I try to avoid laser fire. But, anyways, moving on down the
I don't know
list, we
what
have.
kind of lasers you're dealing with, but yes,
Remember the mission where. Remember the beginning of this mission where you have to dodge the lasers?
there are no lasers. At least none that I ran across.
You did not notice the giant towers homing in on you.
Oh, you mean the things that we both should have been well past? And, but,
I was reset and put at the beginning of the mission, so I had to do it
alright.
again. Don't judge me. I'm being hit with network issues.
Yes.
But anyways, moving on, there are a bunch of ships and stuff that come with seasonal content. Just going down the list as follows, we've got the Sovereign Order ship, which you might have seen me rocking at the beginning of this mission. It's actually a pretty nice ship, I'm not gonna lie. So it is worth getting, though it is part of the Dead Messenger mission. Though, unfortunately, to my knowledge, getting it is pure random drop at the end of the mission, so you're just gonna have to get lucky in that regard. Next on the list we have the Generation Shadow ship, which comes with the Full Sails Triumph, which is again another seasonal bit of content. So that'll be gone. I'm starting to think if going down this list is the most time efficient way of doing this. You know, I should say that there's going to be a lot of stuff leaving, and you can check out the full list below, because for the sake of time, it's probably not wise if I go one by one.
But, I mean, it's safe to say the major stuff that's going to be going is any seasonal-based content.
Yeah. So basically, if it's seasonal related, as is right now, best to get it now if you want it, because, well, when it comes to exotic weapons, they might put that stuff back in later. Like Justin said, they might make the craftable weapon unlockable. I don't know, though, because it's the first time we've ever had it. Like, exotic collectible that's come through the seasons, so I don't know. The Dead Messenger will probably get brought back with the Monuments of Lost Light come Lightfall. Its catalyst may get added into the loot table later down the line, though I wouldn't count on it being immediately, because, I mean, we only have got some stuff added to the loot table for catalysts that have been out since, like, Arrivals, so come this season. So, you know, best to get it now if you want it. And yeah, like I said, if it's seasonal related, expect it going come Lightfall, so yeah.
Yes.
But anyways, that's not the crux of why we're here today, so I thought I wouldn't get bogged down too much with the details there, because, like I said, time is of the essence here. So, another interesting... Let's focus more on Lightfall itself, though. Now that we've kind of covered some of the things leaving with Lightfall, again, full list down below, we can cover some of the aspects of Lightfall itself. Let's start with the big one. Neomuna or Strand? I'll give you the... Justin, I'll give you the...
Well, seeing that I am right now a green boy, set up in
We'll
green color armor, we might as well go with Strand.
We'll go with Strand then. Very well.
Green
So,
boy.
Strand. This is an interesting topic. Remember how I mentioned there's a darkness subclass coming with Lightfall? Well, again, for those who aren't familiar with Destiny, that's the Strand bit. This is where we talk about that. There's already been, admittedly, some controversy considering around Strand. Again, link to the trailer about Strand down below. Basically, the shtick is kind of this. Everyone got new super abilities for the Guardians to use that feel new and fresh. Everyone except the Titans, who kind of just got relegated to fist, smash, smash again, which I've heard one person actually say that they're not against it, but for the most part, I think the consensus is
somewhat understandable. In a way, it is understandable.
No, it is understandable. It's just it feels I think the logic the Titans are going under right now, the Titan mains it feels half-assed compared to the other subclasses.
Like when you think about it, like you've got Hunter who's got like throwing knives, you've got a gun, you've got a stick, and you've got a bow, and it kind of fits the whole Hunter aspect of being like the Hunter. It's the rogue.
Right.
It fits.
Well, thematic is not the issue, I think, here, like I said. I think it's, like, the thing itself, right? Like, hunters, like you kind of already mentioned, have kind of a vast variety of supers to deal with. You got knives, you got bows, you got staffs, you got a rope dart now. Think Scorpion, for those who are not aware.
Yes.
Coming with Strand. Warlocks are in kind of the same pickle, but I think we've got something new-ish to the point where we don't mind as much. Like, we've got another, admittedly, Nova Bomb type thing, but it's a lot more pinpointed and a lot less one massive Nova Bomb and just I think unlimited Blaine works for the weebs in the group. That's generally what we're getting, along with a whole host of minions to control. So, it's not too original, but it's not bad. Versus Titans, who kind of got the short end of the stick, admittedly again, with just with just more fist stuff. I think it was I think some people are just calling it Behemoth without the ice in some cases.
That's
I believe.
exactly what people call it. They're calling it exactly Behemoth, but with like literally green Behemoth.
Yeah, so it feels half-assed for them. They don't get.
Or in other words, what if it was Fist of Havoc but purple? What if it was green?
Yeah, which is again, I get the.
Yes. I see you have a wonderful understanding of Bungie physics.
I still get Bungie physics. I get it. I just every once in a while die regardless.
Yes.
But regardless,
There you go.
Again, in the case of, yeah, I understand both sides of the argument. Yeah, it fits thematically, but yeah, it does also kind of look lazy. Like, I feel like if come the next expansion, whenever the third Darkness subclass comes out, which there will most likely be, at some point, if the Titans don't get something truly unique for once, I feel like they're going to revolt.
Very likely.
Because it feels like that, yeah, the gimmick is interesting and all, but it doesn't feel too...
I can at the very least go and say one of my ideas that I went and talked to you one time about, which was if you gave Titans the ability to like kind of shoot their you've got like these spike fists. So what if you gave the Titans the ability to shoot this spike into either a small multiple mini spikes that can do a large amount of damage to a variety of enemies, or one giant spike shot that'll do a very massive amount of damage but only to one enemy. Like, you could have a bit of variety with it, but it'd still fall within like the curfew of you punch but now you shoot punch. Like, there you go.
It kind of is what they have right now with Arc, and a bit more unique. There's a bit
Like,
more stuff.
I know there's one arc ability, and that's kind of the arc ability that I went and based this idea off of, but I can't remember. Like, it was literally like a ranged shot arc, the arc melee ability. I just don't.
Yeah, it's basically a charge.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But like,
neither of us
pretty much what I was basing my idea off of. Like, you could just have it based around the idea that you charge of a really powerful shot, and that's it.
Yeah, no. Neither of us play Titan on the regular. I don't play any other class than Warlock, so forgive us if we don't know the exact one.
I play.
He plays it, but not.
But I play Hunter the most, and Titan probably the second. But I don't have Arc. If I'm being honest, my Titan is still technically both solar and arcless. So.
He's
I've been playing Titan for a good little bit, and I still have the Void subclass, and that's it. And in my mind, that's kind of all I need.
That's all I need.
I am built around machine gun and overshield.
I do not need evolution. What is this?
You can kind of have a good idea on what my subclass is based around.
Yeah, I mean, again, it is that kind of. I get, like I said, both ends of the argument. But I mostly hear like Titans being like, we need something more original. Like, you gave the Hunters a rope dart, you gave the Warlocks a literal like unlimited blade works ability. For some reason, and now that I think about it, we're getting a lot of anime-based abilities, which I'm completely on board with being a weeb, may I just say. But regardless, like, it feels like they're like, we want more original stuff, Bungie. Give us more like original stuff other than just bang bang gun thing. Or bang bang fist thing. And again, I get that. But, that's the state of things right now. Hopefully it improves, like I said. Apparently they're giving them, like, woven mail might be their thing. But Funny enough, it's the hunters who are getting the exotic that kind of pairs with Woven Mail this expansion, which apparently like vetoes flinch when you have Woven Mail on, which
Isn't
you'd think might be more of a Titan thing, but regardless. Oh well.
What can you do?
What can you do, like I said? But yeah. But that's Strand. That'll be interesting to see. On the topic of Strand, let's go over kind of a bit to Neomuna and the thematical story elements of everything. Don't get me wrong, not going to spoil any story bits because obviously we don't know them yet. As for the Lightfall Collector's Edition content, no, I will not be talking about anything in those lore books in this video, partially because I have not learned any of it myself. I've been keeping away from those videos because my Collector's Edition has not come in yet.
Yes.
Like, they told me, they said 2 to 4 weeks, you should have it start getting shipped to you, and we're now on week 3, and I have yet to see any, like, tracking number come in. I was joking with Justin before the stream. Watch, it'll be like the day before the expansion, and then it'll arrive at my house that day. I'll be like, great.
Now you get it. Now you get
Now
it.
yet. After the fact. Whatever, though. There is some interesting stuff to talk about regardless when it comes to the kind of plot of Lightfall. We've seen a lot of speculation. One of my favorite theories is that Callus is just going to get jacked, and that'll be the final boss fight. Or the raid fight. What do you think? Do you think Callus will be a raid
turn him
fight?
into a gun, aren't you? Yes.
What would Callus even look like as a gun? I'm trying to picture it. I feel like it'll be like something akin to the Parasite, thematically speaking, just being like this hungry, endlessly like consuming thing.
This hungry boy.
This hungry boy.
Go.
If you had to turn Callus into a gun, what type of gun would you make him? Or hell, we could just open it up a bit more.
Honestly, feels like a grenade, or not a grenade launcher, a rocket launcher.
Yeah, no, I see.
Honestly, feels like a rocket launcher type.
He's got the like boisterousness that you would think would go well with a grenade launcher or a rocket launcher. I mean,
like he honestly feels like he'd be like, yes, the grandest explosions just for me.
Exactly. Can you imagine? Now we've got to have a talking rocket launcher where it's just Catalyst talking as the rockets go off.
Yes.
Yes, I want this now. Bungie, make it so.
Do it.
Make the Catalyst rocket launcher. I want it. It'll be like a freaking jewel encrusted rocket launcher. Would it be funny if it was like every time you launch the rocket, you just hear him laughing? I would find that hilarious.
The laugh is being emitted from the rocket.
It's just exactly as
so
it's being
playing PvP and you just hear a laugh coming towards you really rapidly.
Third bang on. Yes, I love it. That would be fucking hilarious. That would be fucking priceless. I would love that. I would totally grind for that. If it were a raid, that'd be the first raid weapon I think I would actually grind for.
Yes. Willingly grind for it.
Yes, I will willingly grind for it. I say that because, like, I still do not have things like 1,000 voices, despite it being, like, a raid exotic from Forsaken.
Yes.
Played the Forsaken raid, don't get me wrong. Played it a few times, but because of just the difficulty of the raid, and the boss specifically, I have not ground for it. Like, there are a few raid weapons I ground for, like, drop-wise. Like, I ground for Anarchy back when that was a thing, because I wanted it, and I did not regret getting it. Even after its nerf, I still like it. I don't use it as much, but I still like it. But, yeah. There are many exotics I do not have. I got Divinity, actually, and our editor is spicy that I haven't. He does not actually. Well, no, he's spicy that I did the raid and I did not invite him along.
I'm upset because many a time you go and say, "Hey, let's do."
Hey. It was a one
complete thing without me.
It was a one-person thing. I did tell you, like I said, when the freaking LFG in the Destiny 2 comes out, come Lightfall, which we'll talk about in a second. That's a good transition, actually.
Yes.
We'll invite you along to do a raid. We can, you know what we'll do? We will do the raid of Lightfall together. How's that? And we'll
said the
find.
exact same thing about Vow.
Well, like I said, we can still do it. We can still do that too.
Like you
I'm
literally
open to
said
it.
the exact same thing about Vow.
Did not say the thing about Vow when it
You
came out. We
no,
pick it up.
you at one point did say, "Oh, we'll do Vow when it comes out. Like we'll
Did
do
I?
the raid."
I legit do not remember saying that.
Yeah.
Well, there with me. You at least have video proof that I promised you that we would do the Lightfall raid together. So you can at least hold this against me if I go back on it.
And yet people wonder
Hopefully, I
why
will not
hunters
forget.
are always on their own.
It's thematic for you. Why are you complaining?
Yes, we must go and accept our role.
But anyways, on the topic of oh my god, what was it? On the topic of LFGs, actually, there's actually a lot more coming in Lightfall than just new story and guns. It's actually a massive UI rework coming with Lightfall as well, which you might have heard us talking about in the past, but there is an LFG system in Destiny, and that is in a way also itself kind of a new concept. Well, I say in Destiny. Technically, it's in the app. Destiny has a companion app, which I have, and I believe Justin has as well.
I do.
It has an LFG feature to it, which has made getting raid teams and stuff far easier. Hell, if it weren't for that, I probably would have never done any raids, truth be told. And there's a whole story behind that for later, but basically, this has allowed people to basically get together for groups.
Yes.
Because when Destiny 2 came out, they literally came up on stage and was like, yeah, our numbers show that 90% of our player base has never actually played a raid once, so yeah. We need to fix this because it makes no sense to us to.
Content to be playable.
Especially
Because
when you
this
consider,
isn't
like,
particularly something people can do on their own.
well, it was also they were like, we put all this effort into making the raids, and they even had like in-depth puzzles that came sometimes with the raids, like coding puzzles for Outbreak Prime when that was originally a thing. For those who remember that, I certainly do. And it was all locked within the raid and stuff like that. But unless you played the raid, it would be pointless. So it's like we're putting in all this work, but no one's doing it. So, so they had guided games, which is kind of still a thing in Destiny. It's still
Just
technically in beta because I think
just
they've kind of
expect it
forgotten
to
about it.
act the exact same as competitive in Team Fortress 2. Something you queue to and never actually start.
Well, that's the thing. Like they were hoping that it would like allow people to like, either Sherpa people through the raids or get their raid teams together. Make friends. It was a nice idea in paper, but like no one, to my knowledge, at least, really did it. I'm sure there are a few people who do. I tried it once, never actually got it to work, or at least never stayed in long enough for it to work.
Mm.
So I'm not sure where guided games is. Like I said, I know it's still a thing, but it's still technically in beta. Though I think that's partially because Bungie has forgotten about it, or either put it on the back burner to the point where they're like, "Yeah, we're just gonna forget this exists intentionally."
Bye bye.
So the next shtick that they had was the LFG thing that came with the app. This is as you would expect for any LFG. You queue in, you either make an activity or you make a request for an activity, and you can get people to queue in together. And thus, you can all exchange tags and stuff like that. You can all queue up for raids. And this actually worked rather well. People still use it. And use it quite a lot. The only problem is it's tied specifically into the app, which, it's a bit of an inconvenience if you have to go through the app to get it. Which, like, things like for consoles might not always be the easiest, especially because this was before crossplay was a thing. So, the LFG worked, but it kind of only worked with things like Steam, where that was kind of an easy thing to do. I'm not, because of how much it is for PlayStation, it's kind of a whole system just getting things to work for the consoles. So, to my knowledge, it doesn't really work for consoles. I've never really gotten it to work for consoles. Maybe some people have, I haven't.
Yes.
So the logic was, why don't we just put LFG in the game itself? Instead of requiring you to go through an app, we'll just stick the LFG feature in the app, in the game itself. And that's something they're trying to do with Lightfall, and it actually looks like it will work. But LFG isn't the only thing they're bringing in Lightfall. They're also bringing in what is largely what I would consider to be probably a very long requested feature, multiple loadout slots.
Yes.
I've been playing Destiny for a long time. You'll probably know that you constantly have to reshape your entire character between activities. If you're like a hardcore PvPer and then you try to do a raid, you are not equipped for it because, shocker, shocker, the tactics that work in PvP do not carry over well to PvE content. I have seen some people try to pull a PvP loadout in something like a strike. It is funny. You see, like, them sitting all
It
the way
doesn't
back and
work
like,
all too amazingly. It works on some strikes where like there's a lot of close quarters, but a lot of the time sniper rifles and all that shit it don't work too great.
like it'll work in something like a raid in some very few instances, but unlike a strike, which is very fast paced, it doesn't really work. It is kind of funny though, seeing some people try to hide off to the side and take pot shots at a boss,
Yes.
hoping that like the ads will not see them and thus will not come after them, despite the fact the ads always know where you are. I don't know.
Yeah, basically every Bungie game in history. Ah, yes, stealth, the optional thing.
There is no stealth in Bungie games or any kind of game in first-person shooters.
Oh,
The enemy,
you have invisibility. Funny.
yeah, no, they just know where you are the second you step into the room. They're omniscient enemies. But anyways, but yeah, no. So they're hoping to put it in with that, and finally give people multiple loadout slots. That way, you can have different loadouts slotted into your character, and you can just hot swap between them. You don't have to completely rebuild your character, which can be time consuming and tedious. Trust me, I have done it a lot.
Yes.
Which is generally why I also don't play PvP a lot, because I'm just not into it. Oh yeah, this is your instance, so you still have the ciphers. You still need the full catalyst.
Yes, which is
Or
why
revision.
I'm looking in the Terminus East Lost sector of
You need the thing right behind you.
land.
Right this thing.
Oh, there you go. See, I've never seen one before, so I don't know what exactly I was looking for.
They're giant containers with a hockey symbol. How do you miss them?
Because I'm too busy killing the things and making sure they don't kill me.
Ladies and gentlemen, the hunter, the spotter class.
Yes.
But
I'm too
anyways,
busy spotting the enemy.
so not apparently busy spotting the objective.
Bomb boy, bomb boy.
Great. But anyways, so yeah, they're hoping to put in a bunch of things like that come Lightfall. There's also the whole Guardian level shtick. You want to just kind of leave it as is, the whole Guardian like level thing.
I think
What do
it
you
could
think?
be worth touching on it.
All right, we'll talk on it. Coming with the massive UI is a bunch of other things, also for the kind of tied to this idea of Guardian level. So basically, what it is kind of a tier system in Destiny, not an elitist system, mind you. For those who are wondering, no, this is not going to make Bungie players elitist, though it might. Now that I think about it,
Those kinds of things tend to.
it might. It definitely might. We will see in the aftermath, but basically, what it is kind of a measure of an individual player's experience in level form. So this thing goes up by doing things like raids, like strikes, and not just like repeatedly doing them, but like, hey, you've finished a strike, you've finished a raid somewhere in the past. You are a very experienced player. The logic of this system is for newer players to kind of know who their seniors are and kind of ask for help, and vice versa, so that newer players might be offered by senior players a hand in things like strikes or something like that,
Yes.
or
There's only
raids.
2 lost sectors in the Cosmotron, isn't there, right?
I think so. They're both in the rear, I think, as well. No, there is
Well,
another
one's
one
on
by
one end and the other's on the other end.
Yeah, no. One's in the rear, one's by the Forsaken Shore.
Of course.
Oh, no, you're going to that one. Okay, yeah, no. I know where you're going.
Well,
You're going
right now I need to do the Cosmodrome, like, kill things in the Cosmodrome, do the patrols, stuff like that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I have to go to every location and do that, then go to the Lost Sector.
Right. But yeah. So basically, like I said, it's kind of a system for players to know who their juniors and who their seniors are. And I get the kind of logic. Like I said, Destiny's always been trying to, and by Bungie by extension, has always been trying to get players to like talk with each other. Going back to the whole guided games thing, that was originally the intent there, to kind of have young players get shepherded by older players and vice versa. Though in practice, it didn't really work. This system's a lot more in depth and a lot more visible. Like, it's going to take up an entire section in the menus, like this queue area. And it won't just be like a status symbol either. There are things tied to like how high your level is. For example, if you are a low level, there will be a lot of mods and stuff that you can't access. So they're reworking the mod system. There's a good time to mention that
Yeah,
for life because of
that
this.
that's
So
something I didn't know about. So that's actually gonna suck if you're using a certain mod right now, and it's like, oh wow, my whole playstyle revolves around this.
yeah, no. Basically, how it's going to work is this: they're retooling a lot of the mods, and this is kind of a good excuse in a way for them to also do spring cleaning, which they've wanted to do for a long time. Think Warmind cell mods. A lot of the mods are going to get taken out. Some will get put back in as time goes on, maybe after some retooling, or if they figure out if they're workable in the modern economy. But things like Warmind cells are going, and I don't think those are coming back, as well as a few other mod types. But basically, the long and short of it is this. Instead of going to vendors like Banshee or Ada to collect your mods through like random drops every once in a while, and they'll give you the random chance to unlock them like every week to add to your collection, it'll be based on your Guardian level. So the higher your level, the more types of mods you'll have access to, and the greater variety of mods you'll have access to. Now, do not worry, veteran players. I already see for people who this is news to, you're probably thinking, oh god,
My mods are gone.
I'm gonna have to re-earn everything. Do not worry. Bungie has said come Lightfall, we veterans will be automatically started off on a higher tier. I think somewhere in the middle to higher echelon. So we'll have most of our stuff
It
already up
probably
on
yeah,
higher
like
tier.
it'll probably depend on like how much content you've actually played in the first place. Like if you're D1 vet and you've been playing at least like once every day for like a solid 3-4 hours, you're probably fine. If you've been playing nonstop every single day, you're 100% fine. And then if you're like a guy who's played like maybe once every other month, then
It's just how long
I
you've been.
can't guarantee it.
Yeah, no, I don't know how the system will work entirely. This is just speculation on both our parts, but by the sounds of it, it's mostly going to be like how long you've been around. Like I've been playing in a way, kind of like what he says, since D1 beta. I will be fine.
Yeah.
But if you just signed on like last week, yeah, you're probably one of the categories that might get imported with this. You might not actually. They might not. This might only apply to people who joined retroactively come after Lightfall, and not to people who are already playing. But I don't know. Neither of us can really know. It's kind of spitballing at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I've
But
been
then,
I started playing like what around the end of Forsaken, the beginning of Shadowkeep. So
I brought you in come Shadowkeep, so you're fine. You're probably going to be the same area as me.
I mean, I didn't play that much right away, but basically right around the end of Shadowkeep onwards, I've been playing a lot. So I think I'm pretty good. Oh,
Fun. While he's answering that, I will continue talking. So yeah, that's kind of the modding system currently where we stand right now. The mods, some will get, like I said, taken out and added back later, some won't. So if you're a fan of Warmind cells, get yours in, get your high in while you can, because I don't believe those are coming back. Wells are also changing up. No, not the Warlock wells, the actual like light well font things that everyone kind of used for a little while and kind of became meta for a little bit. Those are also getting taken out, I believe. So yeah, if you have your loadout based around that, you might want to reconsider as well. What else is getting taken out? Oh my goodness, I had something on the tip of my tongue, and now I cannot remember. This is the problems with not having like pre-recorded script. You sometimes forget things, but oh well. For the sake of authenticity, I will press on. Oh yes, no wait, it'll come back. It'll come back.
it'll come back to him.
It will. It will. Maybe, maybe not. Now it's gonna bug me until I remember. So until it comes back to me, we will talk about things such as Neomuna in itself. Let's talk about the environment. I'm sure you've seen the trailers, Justin. What do you think?
Cyberpunk
How
theme.
scripted? Oh, that was a cyberpunk sticker. Okay, I
Well,
couldn't.
it's
I
not a
didn't.
good version of it. The whole point of me doing a shitty version is because it's supposed to be a shitty version.
It's so shit that I couldn't even tell it was
Yeah.
cyberpunk. It's, as a man who has played Cyberpunk 2077 and did thoroughly enjoy it, I'm very on board with this aesthetic. I know, I know. I played it day one. I enjoyed it day one. Though that might have to do with the fact I played it on the new gen as well, so I'd have to deal with all the glitches that came with old gen. So maybe my experience would have been different. Well, no, it would have been different had I played on older gen, but I didn't. So my experience, like first impressions, were I think way better compared to most. But whatever. But I'm totally on board with this theme. So that'll be interesting to see. Like I said, the whole cyberpunk Neomuna aesthetic is interesting. I know some people have been memeing on the Cloud Striders being gigantic. Like you see them in the trailer and they're like 9 feet tall, and it's like, good
But
god.
keep in mind, there's a chance that that's probably just a robot boy.
Well, you know that they're originally human, that have like a great deal of like another piece that people have been memeing on is like the freaking Senator Armstrong nanomachines, son. Like,
Yeah.
I think they use a lot of like technology like that to augment themselves extremely. So basically, they've all essentially Captain American themselves, but to the extent that it actually decreases their lifespan excessively. Like, I think they only live like 20, 30 years or something like that after they've augmented themselves.
Like 5 minutes.
You like augment yourself and you're immediately dead. So it's like, yeah, they're mortal and they've made themselves on par with Guardians, but they've also basically shot their entire lifespan away. So they've sold their entire lifespan. So apparently, the lore is they operate in pairs because of that. One junior, one senior. Kind of, it really kind of feels like the kind of like Jedi meant like the Jedi shtick, one master for one apprentice kind of thing,
Hmm.
and they travel together and just kind of like one teaches the other. That feels like the shtick the Neomunas have, the Cloud Striders have going.
Yes.
Though in this case, it's less of an honor thing and more of a they don't have a lot of time, so they might as well try to pass on as much as they know while they can.
It's like, here's all the skills you're gonna need in order to do this job that's super critical, and if it isn't done, we're all screwed.
All screwed. Yeah, no, that is kind of the point, but yeah. So yeah, after they become Cloud Striders, I think, like I said, they only live like 20, 30 years after the fact, so
Yes.
But regardless, so maybe there's some accelerated aging going on there. That might be a possibility.
It's probably a whole lot of like extremely increased metabolism type of thing, and because of that, it's just
Yeah,
cells
they kind
die
of,
so quickly.
yeah, they kind of maybe like the clone problem from like going back to Star Wars. They kind of like the clone soldier problem, where they have accelerated aging because they were made to be essentially grown very fast. But this also means that they die very quickly.
Yeah. If you grow a clone slowly, then it's not gonna age
It's
quickly.
just fine. If you mass produce clones, you're going to run into this issue.
Well, it's not if you mass produce them. It's just if you mass produce them too quickly. If you
Yeah,
try to make them of like a fighting age type of thing.
yeah. Then you run into this issue with like only like 30, 40 years in their day. So that might be what the Neomunian Cloud Striders have going on with them. So yeah, that's worth considering. Overall, though, funny enough, this is actually interesting. Another good transition. They did reveal what the next season was that's coming with Lightfall. There wasn't actually, again, all these things we're talking about are linked in the comments, including this part where today, Joe Blackburn, who is the game director for Destiny 2, the new game director, the old game director and vice game director, I think, are now working on the Destiny content universe or something like that. Essentially, the expanded universe of Destiny. People have been joking that there's probably going to come a TV show out of this at some point, which I'm going to be all for. Like, can you imagine like a TV show set in the Dark Ages? With the right budget, it is certainly possible. Like, you would have to have like
or the like during this really heavy Iron Lord and all that time.
yeah, no, like
Warlords and
during the Dark.
everything. Well,
That
no,
wasn't.
but like you can do multiple different things. Like you can do like a little bit just after the collapse type of thing, where it's like you don't know exactly what caused the collapse, but they're
Yeah,
like we're just barely trying to survive type of thing. Or you could do like during like warlords and everything. Like
yeah.
there's a couple different options with the timeline on
Hell, you
that.
could even do the Golden Age if you really wanted to if you wanted to keep Xenos out of the picture entirely for the sake of the budget, you could just do like the Golden Age.
Yeah, and you can just do like like
All the
hints
crazy shit
towards
that
the
floats.
collapse and the darkness coming in and everything.
Yeah, kind of like the Clone Wars is the Star Wars in a way, like kind of a prequel to see where everything happened.
Hmm. The build up
You
onto
can,
why
like,
everything is the way it is.
yeah, you can kind of maybe get into like Clovis Bray and all the crazy stuff that we don't remember because it was never documented. Maybe in the early years of Clovis Bray. Could you imagine Clovis Bray as a child? Oh my god, he must have been obnoxious. So obnoxious. But that would be interesting concept for a TV show. But yeah, no. So, there's theory that might happen at some point.
Yes.
But all in all, Joe Blackburn, going back to him, came out with a letter today that basically stated that, there are a few goals that they are having coming Lightfall, and I'll quote those in a minute. But basically, the shtick was essentially this. They've gotten to a point where they're able to produce content at a quality that is sustainable, but they also recognize that the problem with the current, like, they've found a stream in which they're able to produce content of this quality sustainably, both like gameplay and narrative wise. But they also address an issue they're trying to work on, which is kind of like shaking up the formula a little bit in some ways, where it's like
It's not
they say that
stale.
some of consistency is good because it makes things easy for them, but they're also needing to make it so that it's not completely like I'm saying like a lot. So it is not very much recycled content. Like, and there I
It
go
does.
again, saying
It
like
does. It doesn't feel like you're doing the
yeah, it
exact
doesn't get
same
old.
thing every single season, or you're seeing the exact same content every season. Like,
Yeah, predictable. That's the word he used.
it gets to a point where, okay, every single season actually feels different, and the content and the environments and stuff like that, they don't feel reused. You don't see it again and again.
Yeah. And the word he used was predictable, which is the best word I think to use for this. Where they
Yeah,
don't
but
want to make it so
when you really think about it, like this season, for example, content was reused, but it doesn't feel predictable. It just
no.
feels reused. Like
This
you've
might be
seen
kind
it.
of what he's talking about, right? Like he wants to do stuff like this. Where he has his team making stuff that are kind of reused, kind of consistent, but it doesn't feel predictable.
Run away,
Run away from the explodey thingies.
homeboy.
Less than one to a new guardian. If you see something beeping, walk away from it.
If you see it glowing a different color than all of the other surrounding enemies of its type, run away.
Run away. You will not live long enough to regret it. but but yeah, there are actually, like I said, going to the three things he did say, which I want to quote, which I want to quote because they are kind of funny. Pull it up on the screen here. He has four major points that they're trying to work on going forward, come Lightfall and moving into the final shape, which is the last DLC that we know of so far. Maybe there'll be a Destiny 3 after that. Maybe they'll kind of go World of Warcraft and do one every 4 years after that. I don't know. But we have this. And I'll start off on number two because I want to point out number one specifically, and I'll go from two to four down. We have Bring Challenge back to Destiny 2, which kind of again makes sense. And again, he goes into why he says each of these in the paragraph or in his letter. I will save that for personal reading if you want to. But yeah, Bring Challenge back to Destiny 2, enrich our content. Okay, that makes sense. Connect our Guardians. Again, kind of a knock on what we talked about previously with the whole Guardian guided games thing and them trying to get everyone to get together and connect. That makes sense. Now let me go back all the way to number one, which again I wanted to point out individually. This one kind of caught a little bit of a curveball here. Expand players' imagination. I'm not sure what the heck he means by that. Like, all of the other ones from 2 to 4 are pretty self-explanatory. Make the game more difficult, make the game more fun, get people to converse. Okay, makes sense. But I'm not exactly sure what he's driving at with the whole expand players' imagination. That is a little confusing to me. And I suspect I'm not the only one in the crowd, so I just thought that's worth pointing out.
Yes.
Ah, here we go. Here's a little bit of a blurb talking about it. Uh, Forgive me, I'm reading this. So, judging by the little blurb that comes with it, because admittedly it is a fairly abstract concept, I'd like to think, he wants to make the game more. What's the word I'm looking for here?
Yes.
Yeah, no, not that one. He wants to make the game more. He wants to have it have more wow moments. Yeah, I'm gonna use a cheesy movie here, but Interstellar, right? If you're a science head, you watch Interstellar and you start thinking about high science concepts. I think he wants stuff like that in a Destiny sense. Like he wants people to start thinking, not on a philosophical level, but being like, wow, and start like, he wants people to. I think he wants to add more amazement to the game. I think is what he wants to say, and I think he wants people to start talking about the game kind of like in the lore community, like with the lore community will see something and start immediately theorizing about it. I think that's what he's going for. He wants more content like that. And the Witch Queen had some of it, but just not enough. So they want to make more of it. So that'll be interesting. Still, again, abstract if you ask me, but at least we have a little bit more of an answer.
Yeah.
Now, we've covered a good chunk of Lightfall, and we've taken a good chunk of time. Like I said in the previous videos, I want to keep these videos short, but this one was bound to run longer, so it is what it is. There goes the view count.
Oh
um,
no. We're
hey,
covering everything properly.
we got 40 odd views last time. I'm trying to keep those kinds of numbers. Like and subscribe, by the by. Say it every time.
Do it.
Do
See
it.
button, do it.
You see the red button. You want to press the red button. But anyways, we can talk about exotics as kind of a closing note. But before we talk about that, there is one thing I want to talk about. This might make more sense as a closing note, but I'm going to talk about it first. We have the next season. Now, let me expound on it a little bit, because that doesn't say much.
Yeah.
Usually what Destiny does is, for those who know again, they often keep the seasons under wraps. They've been trying to come into a point where this, again, kind of maybe fits into what Blackburn said about they've found a type of like pace where they can put content out consistently and sustainably. And what they're trying to do for this particular case is they're trying to put the first season with a expansion come out at the same time as that expansion. And this is because usually what happened in the past sometimes is that the expansion would come out, everyone would play through it, but the content for the season wouldn't start until like a week or two after the fact. So this kind of had like a 2 week lull of being like people playing through all of the content day 1 or 2 and then being like, well, what do we do now? Prepare for the raid, I guess. And then start the seasonal content. Keeping the content for the season as well as the expansion come out at the same time provides, on a gameplay level, people reason to stick around after they finish the actual expansion part itself and start playing through the seasonal content. Because seasonal content has been adopting a weekly model, which a lot of people call drip feeding content, which is annoying at times. But it does prove effective for keeping people engaged long term.
Yes.
So on a business standpoint, it does make sense. Plus, it does give that feeling of evolving week to week story content wise, instead of everyone playing through all the content day one and being like, oh, that's it for the next 4 months.
Oh, that's my quota. Time to leave.
Yeah, that's my quota, and clock out. But regardless. So they are trying to put the seasonal content and come out with the same time as the story. And this provides a few other options to them besides just it keeps people playing. It also allows them to kind of continue the story beyond like the season or beyond the expansion. Because sometimes what they'll do nowadays is they'll have the expansion content directly tie into the events of the season and vice versa. So, for example, back in Witch Queen, the season of the Chosen, I believe that, no, season of the Risen, my mistake, had to do with the whole business of Savathun's Loose Brood trying to invade the system, which was her Loose Brood being made was the plot of Witch Queen. So it makes sense that they would also have a season tied to that. This one is called Season of Defiance, and considering we're going to have to deal with a major war come next expansion, I think it's fairly safe to say what this is about. They even put the key art for this.
And when like the art that you see makes you really think, oh, okay, this is like some Cabal like thing because you've got Mara and a bunch of Cabal ships in the background.
Yeah.
And the Guardians are obviously wearing Mara armor because
Mara dash what looks
Mara
like
is the
Cabal.
queen. She wants the Guardian to be her army.
It looks like. Here's the thing. It doesn't. I would say this is Awoken armor, but when you think about the Awoken concept, when it comes to like theme,
I don't think it's like completely Awoken-esque armor, but it definitely like the color scheme was definitely Awoken.
yeah, no, you certainly see the purples that the Awoken are known for here. I think it might have to do with more of like a coalition-based armor. Like you see like what looks to be obviously Guardian inspiration here. You see what clearly looks like the kind of bronzy thing that the Cabal like to use. And then you kind of see the purples that the Awoken are known for in their fine cloth work. So maybe this is going to be more of a united front type armor.
Bits and pieces from all the different factions.
Yeah, come together in the armor design, maybe. But then in the background, you see what looks to be almost like pyramids. Like Aztec pyramids. So wait, is the war truly coming beyond like Neomuna? Like everyone's theorizing how this is going to play out come Neomuna. Is the witness coming to Neomuna to just like set up early shop? Or do we discover Neomuna by accident? My theory going like until Lightfall comes out is that Neomuna is being invaded to essentially set up a staging post for the witness. Like the witness is like, okay, I'll invade Neomuna, I'll take Neomuna, and then I'll use it as a launch pad to invade the rest of the system.
Yes.
It's possible there's also
where I've seen that before. The moon.
Well, it's technically, I mean, it is standard military tactics, so no kidding. But regardless, it's possible there's also something on Neomuna, so who knows?
There probably is, and the witness like knows that there's something there, and he just wants to get there, or it just wants to get there, and prevent us from having it.
It's possible. Kind of the reverse of the Witch Queen in a way. I don't know.
But I'd bet it'd be that kind of thing where it's like we go there and then we discover like the means in order to recognize Strand, like it's a form of darkness and light type of thing or whatever. And because Guardians are paracausal, we have an easier time of manipulating it. On Leomuna, they're able to do that, but we're like, oh yeah, you're paracausal. You can just manipulate it without so much energy effort and all that.
Well, I mean, it is in a way that is kind of a knock on to like kind of how the season of the Splicer played out. The Fallen have always been able to intersect with machines, and that was a nice launch point for Mithrax, who's the head of House Light, to be like, oh yeah, we can intersect with the Vex and communicate with their systems. But our technology kind of has to do with retroactive light work, which came from their golden age, which they still kind of use. But since Guardians are full on essentially paracausal beings, they can essentially matrix themselves into the Vex network like Tron style, which is something even the like Elixni cannot do. Because they can just only like essentially work with the system.
We are Guardian. Everything becomes gun combat.
Literally, they're just like, oh yeah, since we're using light technically to interface with the network, and you are technically beings of light, you can essentially Tron yourself into the Vex network, which is kind of funny.
I'd be willing to bet Mithrax originally thought of it like being like a supercharged battery type of thing, where like any technology used to splice into that network could be like supercharged and made super easily to break into the network, and then just realized, oh, you do that instead. Interesting.
I can't remember the lore behind most of the Slicer stuff, but I think, like I said, it was like they could always interact with technology through their kind of like light-based interface stuff. But since Guardians are kind of beings of light, they can essentially manifest themselves within the technology Tron style. So Mithrax is like, shit, no one has ever done that before.
Well done.
You get to see what the Vex network looks like.
You hold power we don't, Guardian, as usual.
as usual. But yeah. And funny enough, the Vex come up, that we are going to see the Vex on Neomuna, and by the looks of it, we will be going back into the Vex network for that expansion, for some reason. A lot of the lore community is kind of interested because, like, technically the Witness does have the Soul Divisive working for it, as far as Vex units go, but the Vex we see are not Soul Divisive Vex by the looks of it, so it looks as though the Vex are here of their own accord, which is interesting, considering they generally try not to get involved in paracultural wars.
That's unless they're being like a form of manipulated again.
That's possible. That is one of the
That's what
theories.
happened in Splicer, but I could
Yeah, there were
see
vegetables.
like the Witness went and took control over one of the Vex mines or something like that, and the Vex are kind of being made to think that if they go and try to stop the Guardians or like something like that, they might have a greater success or something.
Possibly. It's like
Like
one
there's
of the
only really so many ideas that I could think of on why the Vex would want to be there.
one of the things we see is that what looks to be like the Vex network entrance, or one of them anyway, getting invaded by the Dark Legion, which is the new Legion coming with Lightfall, which is the Witnesses essentially Cabal Legion. At this point, the Witnesses have like a version of every race working for it, which is going to be an interesting because it'll be like, we have a version of every race, now you have a version of every race. But the logic is that maybe the Vex are being invaded by the Darkness Legion. And since they now have access to darkness, they can kind of pull the same trickery we did with the light when it comes to the Vex network and kind of embody themselves in the network. Why they would go after the Vex is beyond me. Like I said, the Witness technically already has the Soul Divisive, which I just shot two of, working for it. So why it would want more is beyond me. Or maybe it's looking for some bit of information there. I don't know.
You never know.
But the question is also, like, why are they on Neomuna as well by themselves? Generally, they try not to go to war with paracausal beings, which is, again, kind of what Justin said, kind of this plot of Season of the Splicer, where they've never gone after the city or the Guardians directly in any form of war campaign or retribution, because according to every algorithm they've run, they will lose horribly. So it was just not worth the effort. It would be expending resources just to lose in the end anyway. So, yeah, there's that. So that's interesting to see. But yeah, I'll be interested to see what the next season brings. Like I said, the armor looks actually pretty cool, not gonna lie. And we're seeing pyramid tech in other places other than Neomuna and pyramid structures, so maybe the Witness is setting up camp all over the system, kind of like in, what's it called? In Season of the Risen, where the Lucid Brood were setting up camp all over the system. Maybe the Witness is doing something similar, albeit on a much grander scale.
Yes.
So we're like fighting its encampments. That is certainly a possibility.
It might become a new public event type of thing that's put on to every location.
We got a new strike out of Season of the Chosen. That would be interesting if we got a new type of public event out of Lightfall. If you're listening, Bungie, you can take these ideas for free. We're offering them. We want to see this.
Please, we want more content.
Give me the Callus rocket launcher, damn it. I want to see it.
Even if it's fake.
Yes, no, someone make artwork for that now. You have my permission. I want to see that.
Literally an animation. Just a Guardian goes and loads a rocket into a rocket launcher and fires it, and you just hear Callus laughing as the rocket goes.
Yes. I feel like a perk for that would either, like, I feel like the name of a perk for that would probably be something akin to like Boundless Appetite or Boundless Curiosity.
Yes.
I feel like that would be a perk name that would come with it.
Yes.
Oh well.
Yeah, what can you do?
But anyways. But yeah, no. Anyways, closing points. What did I say I wanted to use as a closing point? I said I was going to... Oh my goodness, what was I going to use as a closing point? I said I would use it, but I can't remember what I was now.
Sword power. within Linomuna?
Hmm?
I don't know.
Oh, yes, exotics. The exotics of Neomuna. Have you seen that trailer, Justin? It's new-ish, so I'm asking.
No, I don't know. Maybe.
It has the trident.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that one. That's interesting. Like the exotics that come with Neomuna, again, that it kind of harkens back to what I said earlier in the stream about like they gave of all classes the hunters the helmet that apparently gives them flinch resistance when they have strand abilities, not the titans. You'd think the titans would want that. Considering you jilted them this expansion, that would be kind of a way to make good, but no.
Why would you want the tank to be more tank?
Maybe that would piss off every other class, though. They'd be like, damn it, why did you give them this?
Yes.
But, yeah. The exotics are interesting looking. I am very interested to get the trident. Like, that is really cool.
Weapon.
I want that. I fear my trident. And it's a stasis trident, so it's close enough to water for me to work with that. I'll work with that. It's water adjacent.
I am the avatar.
I am the avatar. I am Poseidon. By the way, come with me. Where is it? It is right here. I'm gonna give you a free apple. Right there. Right here.
I don't. Oh. Interesting.
And there's the free apple.
There you go. On stream for anyone else who wants that.
It's an old emblem, but I'm like, since we're here, I might as well give it to you. I had it for you.
I had to come in here anyways.
Yeah, I figured since we're here, but regardless, yeah, no, like it's not a water-based trident, but it is stasis-based, so water adjacent is good enough.
Even though
And if I'm being,
this is crystal based.
yes, I know. Technically, being lore accurate has nothing to do with water or ice. It's
Or
just a crystal.
anything like that.
Well, it is a crystalline structure, which technically ice is. So it is not crystallized water. It is more crystallized darkness. Which, funny enough, I think also is kind of confirmed by, of all places, of all things, flavor text in a quest, in a daily quest this season, where Clovis Bray is talking about it, and he goes, clarity in crystalline form. Even we could never achieve this level of purity.
Yes.
So yeah, instead of crystallized water, stasis just crystallized darkness. So do with that information as you will. But regardless, good enough for me.
Yeah.
Ice stick. I shall take it.
I have stick, and it is
I
ice.
I have the stick. Honestly, though, that'll be so interesting. And judging by its design, it might actually be like, and how much they were showing it off, now that I think about it, it might be possibly the exotic that comes with finishing the Neomoonin campaign, or a direct exotic that comes from it. Like, it's not just going to be a random, like, exotic drop that comes with every new, like, season or something where it's like, here's a bunch of new exotics, This one's specifically tied to, like, a mission or quest, I would wager.
I could see that, yeah.
It's got a lot of effort put into it, so it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, no.
It's so fun.
I mean, that was practically what the I forget what it's called, but the worm exotic was.
Yeah, Parasite. I'm using it right now.
Yeah, no, like that's basically what Parasite was, where it was just a short little quest mission, which tied into the story.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So that's possible. Like, it wouldn't surprise me. Apparently, there's going to be a new type of glaive as well, because I keep saying trident, but it's actually a glaive type.
Well,
But let's be honest, trident, glaive, not much of a freaking difference. Might consider it mechanically speaking.
I was going to say it's like a glaive is a glaive. A trident can be used as a glaive, a spear. It can be used
Well, like I
as a
said,
number of things. A fork, for example.
yeah, a giant fork. But
Fork.
mechanically speaking, they're the same damn thing. So I can say trident and get away with it. But regardless, it'll be, like I said, interesting. It'll probably might have something to do with the Neomuna. It certainly has a kind of like Neomunan aesthetic to it. I don't know. Maybe it's a maybe it's a gift from one of the Cloud Striders. What if it's a Cloud Strider we turn into a weapon? That'd be funny. That would be funny. The first ally we turn into a weapon.
Weapons on the mind. Weapons in the mind.
Weapons of the mind. Honestly, though, legit. There's literally a joke where it's like every sentient thing we guardians get our hold on, we always make into a weapon for some reason.
It is. Does it
Why
have
not?
combative potential? Perhaps. Good.
Stick it in this gun.
This will work. It is
I I will siphon your soul into this firearm. But yeah, no, I could see it. Again, there's also a theory where it's like all glaives so far have had something to do with darkness. Like, it makes sense. And they all have, like, even if they're a light-based subclass for their design, they, like, thematically have something to do with darkness. Like, the first glaive we make was apparently stolen from Rogue's Memories. Louvre's Ruin was Rogue's legit glaive. What's it called? Nezarek's Whisper was Nezarek's old glaive. Despite being solar, it's still darkness based.
Yes.
Yada yada yada. It makes sense. They all have something to do with darkness, so So that'll be fun to get my hands on. I won't go too much into the other exotics because they don't entirely inspire me. Don't get me wrong, they are interesting. Like, apparently the Warlock one gives me a chance to create more little minions, which Justin was joking when I first told him about this, like, last week. Something about World of Warcraft, or StarCraft, I mean.
Yes, the Zerg. Fear the little larva.
Fear the larva. You just come up to a freaking hive and it's like, you think you have larva.
Let me show you what real larva looks like, level 1.
Let me show you what my children look like. Feast.
They consume too much.
That is interesting, though. And of course, that makes sense. That would come with a darkness subclass. I've always wanted a stasis type thing to come for a long time. Like, this harkens back to, in a way, this kind of fulfills, not in a way, it kind of fulfills my fantasy of the Taken subclass, which we've wanted since, like, the Taken King.
Yeah, but it's not exactly Taken, like a proper Taken.
No, it's not a Taken, but it is a summoning subclass, which some people theorized if there was ever a Taken subclass, that would be something Warlocks would do. They'd, like, summon things with Taken power. So at least we're getting summonable minions. It's still on my Taken class, though. I am the new Taken. That'd be funny. Going into, like, if that ever happens, just going into, like, the Taken King raid, looking at Oryx, I am the new Taken King.
I am Taken now. Everything I do is Taken related. Pretty good.
It's like, nah, you are not the Taken King anymore. I am the Taken King.
I am Taken boy.
Oh well, maybe one day. Like I said, that was, in a way, fun fact on a true closing note. That is actually, funny enough, where the true kind of discussion of darkness-based subclasses came from. The whole Taken King campaign and the Taken abilities. Because, interestingly enough, there was lore around that time where it was like, apparently the Awoken were experimenting with Taken and trying to imbue Taken energy into, like, clothing. Which, if you remember from, like, the Taken King era, and again, I keep saying like for some bloody reason, is where all of the, I think it was either a shader or a armor piece, but there was literally armor that made you look Taken. And that is where that came from, canonically, apparently. Apparently. Oh my god, that's a big Hydra. Just a bond, right?
Dead Hydra.
Dead Hydra now. But
Also, I'm playing Mayhem.
are you?
Yes. Grenade.
Grenade everywhere.
Grenade.
Remember, they are machines. They cannot feel pain.
I don't need them to feel pain. I just need them to be frozen.
It's like you destroy them in 1,000 ways. you doing cruel, don't worry. They're machines. They can't feel pain.
The Geneva
They're not
Convention
feel
doesn't apply to them. You think the Geneva Convention applies to this?
They're just yes. Oh, that reminds me of like Vife's joke he made during Season of the Seraph, where it's like, what's that mission where we go to Seraph Station, we fake a surrender, and we basically get out of the prison because of it. He goes, by the way, you know that's technically a war crime. Just
Too bad that
you know?
doesn't apply here.
Yeah, it's like I guess the Geneva Convention did not survive the collapse. The Geneva Convention does not apply to Xenos.
Especially Xenos who have eaten other Xenos. Oh, wait a minute.
It's like, wait a minute.
The crab cakes.
That drifter off in the corner.
I may have made a lapse in judgment.
Hey man, if there were any character that break the Geneva Conventions on a whim, it would definitely be the drifter. Then he'd probably explain it away in the dumbest way possible.
You see, these little conventions, they weren't really too good for business, either moat collecting or anything like that.
Can you imagine just like a freaking person from like the Golden Age comes back and be like, you know, half of the shit you just did was illegal. Illegal?
What is
Hey, well,
that?
what is that?
What does that mean?
Law does not exist anymore.
What is this law you speak?
It's like, you know, you just broke the Geneva Conventions. What's the Geneva Convention?
What is this convention you speak
What is this convention and how can I attend it?
of? Is this a looting convention?
Yeah, legit. The first.
Do I get something out of this?
Yes. No, it's like the response, like, "Do I get something out of this?" He just looks at him. Yeah, 5 to 10 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh no.
No, it doesn't sound worth it.
Sounds okay, but nah.
What do you get out of this? Well, you just broke the Geneva Convention. Oh, do I get something from this convention? Yeah, life in prison. Oh.
Sounds lame. I don't even know what this prison is you speak of, so.
No, we can't say that. There are prisons in the modern day of Destiny. We can't say that. Maybe Fortress are.
Maybe.
There are even prisons built specifically for Guardians.
Yes.
Harkens back to lore from, like, Trials, but nonetheless. And then Ikora.
That's the way you gotta think of it. It's all optional.
It's all option. Well, I mean, in the lore, it's like one Guardian goes about killing things, and everyone starts considering her the new. Like, actually, I'm not going to get into this because there's a deep rabbit hole that I will not.
That he will not stop once when he gets in.
Will not stop this, so I will not start it. Anyways,
Yes.
but yeah, that's generally everything going on with Neomona at the moment. Like I said, I didn't touch any of the information that came with the collector's edition because this is mostly news-based and not lore-based, even though it could be lore-based. But also mostly because I did not have my collector's edition yet. Bungie, where is my collector's edition? Y'all said 3 to 4 weeks I'd get that information of it being shipped out. Or 3 to 4 weeks, or 2 to 4 weeks I'd get information of it being shipped out. I have yet to get the tracking number, and we are on week 3.
Give it to me.
Give it to me. I'm sure there's a good reason for it, quote unquote, but especially with the way the world is now with shipping. Oh well. But yeah, that's the thing right now. That's Neomuna. That's all we know so far. Stuff leaving, stuff coming, yada yada yada. Again, if you want everything we talked about, link down below if you want to get into more details. The trailers we talked about down below, the letter from Blackburn down below. So if you're interested in hearing any about that or reading about that yourself, I mean, all down below.
Yep.
So yeah, that is that.
Yeah, and hopefully.
Any closing?
Not really. I will say, hopefully, you have an idea on what you need to do for revision 0 and going and getting all the different catalysts done for that, because
Yes,
that's basically what we were doing here.
that's what he's doing. I got all mine done
Yeah,
weeks
but
ago.
you are following me, so you in this context does count as we.
That's true. That is true. But again, it'll be interesting. Dead Man most likely will get added to Monument of Lost Lights. Its catalyst may get added into the loot pool at some point, probably down the line, maybe in later seasons.
Who knows?
Maybe not immediately, considering all the stuff they're doing. I'm not sure what they'll do with Revision Zero, because, like I said, that is a purely craftable exotic. So I'm not sure how that's gonna work. Plus there's like a multi-step catalyst that comes with it based around the fact that it's craftable. So
Yes.
it is interesting.
More ways than one. Interesting.
Very much so. Oh, that reminds me. One thing I should say. I remember hearing some point along the line, and I did not link this in the comments. I'm just saying this because I just remembered it now. Sadly, I do not have any context for it. So, but you can look it up. It is true. Apparently, this is going off what oh my god. Um, oh my god. Oh, what's his name? No matter. A news provider of Destiny who works over at, I believe, Forbes at the moment. If I'm not mistaken. I hope I'm not mistaken. Oh my goodness. Now it's going to bother me. These things bother me because I don't remember things. Hold up.
He's going to go and figure it out.
Yes, I will. One moment.
Enjoy me freezing all of these boys.
Paul Tassi, that's it. Thank you. Thank you, Internet. So Paul Tassi apparently did a piece where he said apparently there's also news that battlefields are also staying come Lightfall. So that'll be interesting. I didn't read too much into that, but apparently I remember hearing about that.
It makes sense because they were practically strikes of the first season. Like.
Yeah, they kind of were doing that recently. Where they'll take like the old battlefronts of like last season and add them in as strikes come the new season. Maybe they'll rotate them out with the old ones. Like they'll take the old versions for last season out and put these ones in their place. So there's always like the last season's battlefronts rotating in the strike playlist.
Maybe.
Again, I just heard that. I have not looked too much into that though, so take that with a little bit of a grain of salt. Not that I don't trust his word, but I have not read anything about that myself. So use that information as you will. With that out of the way, we truly will be ending this stream because what time are we at, Justin?
Over an hour.
Good God, we are well past our budget. So, yeah, we're going to end this right now. Well over an hour, meaning what?
Yes.
Oh, come now, give me a straight number.
Are you sure?
Just tell me. Not going to like it, I know that much. Just tell me.
An hour and 18.
Not as bad as I thought. Bad, but not as bad as I thought. Yeah, we're going to go and end this now. We're well past our budget. So yeah, that's it for this stream. Sorry, it's a long one, but we did a lot of coverage, so can't say it wasn't worth it. So yeah, hopefully the next one will be shorter, but we will see. And with that, as I blow this brig up, I shall wish you all a good night.
Hopefully you have fun.